Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be trying to solve an issue that I have with this 2014 Mazda 3. It does require about a quart of oil per oil change, and I run these oil changes about every 5,000 miles. I do have a 2014 Mazda 6, and I don't add any oil to that Mazda 6 in between oil changes. One is we're going to replace the positive crankcase ventilation valve. However, that is down inside or under the intake, so the intake does have to come off for that. It's a little bit more complex than most other engines. Also, I'm going to be trying the Valvoline Restore and Protect. I have heard very good reviews on this product. Now, one thing that Valvoline is supposed to do for this Restore and Protect is to start to remove all the carbon that is inside the engine. That carbon then will get filtered out through the filter. And the reason I'm going to be using this, and there's the possibility that the rings on this engine may be clogged with carbon. And that's my attempt to try and get this engine to be a little more efficient than it currently is. All right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to start changing the oil.
I don't know what to sing. I don't seem to know anything. I don't know why you brought me.
That completes the oil change, and now we're next going to start removing parts so we can get the intake off. And what I have here is a throttle body gasket and then the actual intake gaskets as well. Since this does have 100,000 miles on it, I don't want to reuse the gaskets. I don't necessarily need to have the throttle body gasket. However, I may take that throttle body off and get that cleaned while I'm in there, along with the intake as well. So, in order for us to get to the PCV valve, right down in this location here is where it's located. So there's really no way to get at it until you take off this intake. Now, there are ways to test to see if you have a bad PCV valve. One of them is by taking off this hose here and seeing if there's any suction in that. So you can just use a piece of paper, and if you have vacuum in this tube and the system, that paper would pull up next against this tubing. And that's one way to really determine if you really need a new PCV valve. However, since this has 100,000 miles on it, and also I want to take a look at the intake valves to see how dirty they are. Now, I'm not going to be able to clean them. That will be in another video. However, I'll show you what those look like with 100,000 plus miles on it.
But it seemed quite clear, at least from where I stand, you want to hold me near, still I don't know what to say to you. Little one, you're too young, but you're too old for the one you have.
Next thing that needs to come out of here is this antifreeze overflow, and then some of the wiring harness here has to be removed just a little bit from their snaps so that we can pull this whole thing out. Okay, this is a little bit tricky because it's hard to get into this little connector right there. And hopefully you guys can see that. So by taking a little screwdriver and pushing that in like that, there, that will come off. Electrical connector off. And then we'll try to get this off as well. So I went ahead and taken off the underbody panels.
'cause he'll want you bad. But it seems quite clear, at least from where I stand,
I have to go ahead and get the rest of these bolts out. So there's one there, one there, one there, one there, and one there.
wanna hold me near, still I don't know what to say to you. I don't wanna die young.
There are some more wire harness clips I need to get out. There's actually 2 here, maybe 3.
I just want to beat the best of both these worlds. I don't want to go old, especially if it means I'm growing old with you.
Now, I got that up a little bit. There's a hose right there that needs to come off, and that's for the PCV valve. There. And they're gummy. They're definitely gummy. They all look about the same. But they're definitely... All right, finally got it out with a little bit of force, not too much. I think we'll be okay. And I've also knocked some dirt down in there, so I'll get that cleaned up as well. Let's take a look at this. Here's a little O-ring that needs to come off, and it still clicks, so, which is a good sign. I'm sure it's probably still working, but yep, time to get a new one. Make sure that you do put that O-ring back on there, and now this can go back together. To get some of that dirt out of there, we'll use a rag. Now I'm going to get some degreaser. We'll clean up around the engine. We'll clean up these ports here as well, and then we'll put everything back together.
And you gotta stop crying. We can't keep going on like this. But it seems quite clear, at least from where I stand. You wanna tear me down, still I don't know what to say to you.
Clean up around here. What I have is just a little bit of sandpaper. Start out with about 800 grit. I have some more that are 1200, 2500. Used mostly for wet sanding, but I'm going to use it all pretty much dry, just to knock down some of this gunk that's on here that's not really coming off with kind of any towel and brake cleaner.
Well, they told me follow my dreams, but my dreams keep dying each week.
So the front here is now all cleaned up. I did go ahead and protect my valves from anything falling down in there any further. And now we're going to come over here and I'm going to start to take the throttle off. I'm going to start to clean this. I have some Throttle Body air intake cleaner. We won't be able to get all of it cleaned out, but we'll see how much that we can get. But obviously all this stuff has to be cleaned before I put new gaskets on anyhow.
In a whirlwind of make-believe, but it seemed quite clear, at least from where I
This one goes down the bottom. Remember, that's the longest one. Okay, these intake manifold bolts are going to be 13 foot-pounds. So 12 to 14 is what's stated. I'll do 13. We'll start in the center, kind of do a cross pattern, work our way out. Now to put all the wiring back in place with all the snaps that we put on the electrical connectors as well. Now it's time to put on the throttle body. These are going to be 71 to 89 inch-pounds. We'll hook up our hoses here. We want to make sure we put the bracket on that supports this radiator hose here. Alright, we are now complete. Now, I'll take one more look to make sure that I have everything tightened up, secured all the electronic components hooked back up, and then we'll take it for a test drive. Alright, so I went ahead and driven this car about 4,000 miles on this new engine oil and PCV valve. And actually I'm pretty happy with the results. Though that I've had to add about a quarter quart of oil about halfway through the mileage here, it looks good. So I'm going to show you the results here, show you what it looks like. So you can see it's between the dots still, so that's good. And it hasn't burned all that much. So like I said, I'll continue to use it in the next oil change. Hey, if you like this video, go ahead and give me a like. Better get subscribing. You get the latest notifications when new videos come out. If you have any questions or comments, leave it in the comment section below, and we'll see you in the next video.